For a long time, I told myself this was just how marriage settled. Quiet, predictable, manageable. If you didn't look at it too closely, my husband and I are both 30 now. We've been married just under 10 years. We grew up together, and away he was my first sexual partner, and as far as I know, I was his first or second. There was something comforting about that, about learning everything together. But outside the very beginning of our relationship, our sex life slowly thinned, out until it barely existed. On average, maybe twice a month, sometimes less. Back then, I convinced myself it wasn't a problem. I was on hormonal birth control for years, and my own libido had practically disappeared. If I didn't want sex either, the mismatch didn't hurt. It was easy not to ask questions when I didn't feel the absence. That changed about 5 or 6 years ago when I stopped taking it. My desire came back fully, almost overnight. And suddenly, I felt the distance I'd been ignoring. I tried to talk about it gently, calmly, respectfully. I told him I missed feeling close to him, that I wanted more intimacy, not just sex, but the feeling of being wanted. Sometimes he seemed to hear me. Things would improve for a short while. Then, without explanation, we'd slide right back to nothing. His answer was always the same. I'm just tired. I tried to accept that explanation, but it never quite lined up with reality. He goes to bed around the same time as our 1.5-year-old, usually between 7 and 8 at night. He wakes up around 7 in the morning. He doesn't do night wake-ups. He naps when he can, sleeps in on weekends. I don't want to dismiss his work or pretend supporting a family isn't exhausting, but I couldn't make sense of how tired explained everything. All the time. At first, all I wanted was to feel desired. When that didn't happen, I told myself I just needed to initiate more. I thought maybe if I focused on his wants, his fantasies, if I made sex easier for him, he'd feel more connected. Maybe then he'd want me to. That didn't happen either. Initiating is hard when the other person is almost always asleep or mentally checked out. Each rejection made the next attempt heavier, louder in my head. Started wondering what was wrong with me. Recently, he went out with coworkers and didn't come home until around 4 in the morning. I don't know how to explain it, but something in me snapped. When we talked afterward, I told him the truth that if he could stay out that late, socially, then maybe he wasn't as exhausted as he claimed. That it felt like intimacy with me simply wasn't a priority. His face changed immediately, got defensive, said I was making him feel unappreciated, said he worked hard to support our family and that I didn't see that. And maybe that's where everything cracked open. For years, I gently suggested he see a doctor. The constant exhaustion, the non-existent libido, it didn't feel normal to me. I worried about hormones, about something medical. He'd either refuse outright or go once and barely mention it because nothing ever came of it. Nothing was addressed. The argument escalated, and this is the part I keep replaying in my head. I told him things I'd been swallowing for years. That it hurt knowing I had never finished during sex with him. That I felt like I had to beg just to be touched. That when sex did happen, it felt rushed, disconnected, and humiliating, especially when he'd go semi-soft in the middle of it. I said it out of frustration, not because I wanted to tear him down, but I know how cruel it must have sounded. There was a long silence after that. Then he asked me why I even wanted him. I didn't lie. I told him I believed things would get better with time, with communication, with exploration. But even during sex, I don't feel heard. If I ask for something specific, like going harder, he'll do something completely different, then get irritated and say he's tired, ashamed that I let years of frustration spill out all at once. At the same time, they came from years of feeling unwanted, from asking softly and not being met. Husband, I don't want to hurt him. I don't know how to keep carrying this alone. So now I'm stuck in this quiet place between guilt and resentment, wondering if I crossed a line or if I finally said out loud what should have been addressed years ago. Of feeling unseen, And how do you fix something this deep without losing either yourself or the person you built your life with?